it was a hard decision because, you know, I'm going to have to be fully dependent on God because I don't have a job. I don't have something else lined up right behind it. I'm totally leaving this with faith that God will provide for me. So I went to my boss. I said, I'm putting in my 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm leaving. So I recorded the last vlog the beginning of the year. I left my job the end of January, and this is now July. And God has done so much since then. And I've been asked a lot of questions like, you know, what made you decide to leave the job? How did you leave the job? Where are you now? So I want to kind of fill you guys in on what's going on now and just what God has done. But I first want to give kind of like a background of how I came to the conclusion of leaving that job. So 2013 Ashley and 2014 Ashley was two totally different women. And last year, you know, I was going to school to be an elementary school teacher. And, you know, of course, I was a preschool teacher. I remember one night I was in class, I was in the course, Old Testament prophetic books, basically a class on prophecies. And one night, the Lord was really speaking to my spirit and saying, you know, Ashley, it's time for you to leave your job, and I'm going to provide for you. And I was like, what? And he was like, it's time for you to leave your job. And I started getting excited, like, oh my gosh, like I was like getting amped, like, oh my goodness. And I've been feeling a disconnection from the job and just the direction I was going in anyways. So it was kind of like confirmation. And then I was saying to the Lord, I was like, I don't know, Lord, like, this economy is really bad. I don't know if it's so smart for me to leave this job. So God's like, oh, so now it's the economy. And God's like, you need to trust me. You need to trust me. You need to leave your job. I kept on fasting and praying, and getting the same answer. I need to leave a job. But honestly, I was afraid. Because like I told you, I would never leave a job that, you know, I just don't like. Because I feel like if I'm placed somewhere, I'm placed there for a purpose. But I felt like my purpose there was done. My season there was done. And I was overstaying my season. I was afraid of what God had planned for me. I didn't know how long it would take. I didn't know how long I'd be unemployed. I didn't know how He was going to provide. I didn't know how I was going to have money, food, gas, how I was going to pay my bills. I didn't know anything. I'm like, you know, I'm going to leave this job, then what? You know? Because a lot of times we place ourselves in this cardboard box, right? This safety box of where we're comfortable, because that's where we've been. And God's saying, you know, Ashley, come out the box, I have something for you. And you're like, I don't want to get out my box. Can you just place what you have inside of my box? And God's like, no, I can't put it in your box. You need to get out of your box and come here. Can you just show it to me? Like, put it over the box and show it to me so I can see what it is if I want it? No. You need to get out of the box, get out of your comfort zone, and come to me. So, I decided to get out of my box. So, I was like, I'm going to pump myself up, you know? So, I went to work one day. I went to the bathroom. I looked in the mirror. I said, Ashley, you're going to do this. You're going to go to your boss and say, listen, I'm giving you my 2 weeks and I have to get out of here. So, I pumped myself up. Like, Ashley, you can do it. You can do it. So I left the bathroom. I was marching to my boss's office. And then it turns out she went home early. Yeah, she left while I was in the bathroom. So I was like, Lord, is this a sign? Am I supposed to stay here? And then He was like, no, you still need to leave. So the next day, I pumped myself up again, and I'm like, this time I'm going to do it quick. Like, before I go to my lunch break, I'm going to go to my boss's office. I'm going to tell her that I'm putting in my 2 weeks. So I did it, and I told her, and she asked me why, and I didn't exactly say, well, God told me to, because a lot of people didn't understand. I kind of said, family issues, and she wished me well. And, I left on a good note, and she thanked me for giving her 2 weeks. They threw me a party before I left, and, I still love the coworkers, I still love the kids, but now I'm jobless. I literally left that job with my last 2 paychecks and my W-2 on the way. So I'm like, okay, if I do the oodles and noodles, I can maybe stretch this out for like 2 months, and, yeah. But I didn't do oodles and noodles. So as time progressed, my money started running low, and I began praying to God, like, God, what do I do next? Like I wasn't applying anywhere. I didn't know what to do. I was waiting on God to direct me, because he said that he was going to provide. He said he's going to provide and he's going to direct me. So no lie, sometimes within minutes, sometimes within days, as soon as I'd pray for God to provide, he did. See, I used to be a makeup artist. Well, I still am, but more so before than now. And I began getting calls from clients from years ago to do their makeup. And one client in particular, she was like, yeah, you did my sister's prom and graduation makeup back in 2010. And I'm like, 2010? And I was like, wow, only God. So I did maybe, like, since leaving my job, I did maybe 6-7 makeup gigs out of nowhere, from going to none to like so many. And he just continued providing. It turns out something was wrong with my W-2 form, like something was incorrect. So they ended up sending me a second check with $400 extra. And I'm like, wow, God, look at you. And just the most supernatural things started happening. God started placing me on people's hearts, and soon my previous job, the job I left, began calling me, asking me to substitute. So like whenever one of the coworkers there either was feeling sick or just didn't feel like coming to work, I'd go as a substitute, which was great because I saw my little loved ones, just enough to like where if I missed them, I saw them, but not so much that it was every day. And I'm like, this is perfect. And yeah, like God was just sustaining me the whole entire time. And then one day I was leaving my previous job as a substitute, and I got a random call from a friend, and they were like, hey, do you need a job? And I was like, yes. And they were like, I have a position, available if you'd like. And I was like, is this some kind of joke? And they're like, no. I'm like, is this a one-time thing or what is this? And they're like, it's a position. And I was like, well, yeah. And they're like, come in tomorrow, we'll see if you like it. And if you like it, the job is yours. And I was like, wow. So the next day I went, and I liked the job. So now I'm working. I have a job. I do medical data entry. I really love it. I'm working less hours, getting more money, and God is a provider. And I say all this not to say, look what I'm doing. No, it's to say, look what God has done. And all it took was obedience, trust, faith, praise, just spending time with God and just trusting God. I trusted him with everything. I gave him the person I loved the most. I gave him my safety, my security, my job. I gave him everything. I gave him my career. I said, Lord, here, you take everything and you decide what I will do next. It's up to you. It's, you know what, I'm tired of doing things my way. I give up. I'm exhausted. I'm done. What do you want me to do? God's like, so it's up to me now? I'm like, yes, God, it's up to you. Said, okay, because you've been doing this direction for way too long. So he, like, turbo speed, put me on the right track. And he just made all these impossible moves. Like, only God can get me a job that I never applied for. Only God can give me a job that I never asked for. Only Him. Only Him can give me such favor that He has given me. And all it took was obedience. Just obedience, listening to Him. I was hard-headed a lot of the times, but in the end, I listened. And He's restored me. I emptied myself out, and He restored me tenfold. And I'm just so grateful. And I don't say this, I'm not telling you this video for you to go, oh, Ashley said for me to leave my job so I can get a better job. No, because if you do that, and especially for those reasons, you're going to be mad at me. This video is to say, I obeyed God. I listened to God. I cleared, whatever was blocking my ears, whatever was blocking my eyes from hearing and seeing God. I cleared it. I prayed. I fasted. And God told me what to do. It doesn't matter how far you are, how old you are. You're never too late to give up what you're doing, to do what God has called for you to do. During this season, God really taught me a tough lesson. He taught me that I was not activating at my full potential. I was not using the anointing He has given me. I was not using the talents and the gifts He has given me to the full potential. I was kind of sitting on some things. And the thing is, I knew that God gave me wisdom and knowledge. And I'm like, you know what? I can be a teacher. I can just teach, the little ones. Not that there's anything wrong with being a teacher. But God's like, what I've given you is not so that you can just be a teacher. I've given you these for you to do something else. Yes, you can be a teacher. Yes, you're able to, but that's a little too safe. That's not what I had planned for you. There's certain people I've anointed to do that, as a profession. But what I've anointed you to do, you're not working towards it. You're too afraid to. And that was actually a hard pill for me to swallow, because I'm very, very bad at receiving that. For example, if someone to say to me, you're very smart. I always expected you to do this. Or I always expected you to go here. I always expected you to be with this person, and all these people telling me all these expectations, and it would make me so mad, because I'm like, listen, I'm sorry that my calling is not as extravagant as you have planned for it to be. So I saw it as people questioning my judgment, especially if it came down to my relationship. If you question my relationship, I would drop you in a second. I'm sorry, guys, but I would drop you in a second, because I was just so sure that the direction I was going in was the right direction for me. But the thing was, it wasn't. So now when people tell me that they see so much in me, I'm like, really? Wow. I don't dismiss it and be like, listen, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. Now I'm like, you know what? God has called me to do something bigger. God has called me to work just a little bit harder. So now I'm, in a different direction. One more story before I'm out of here. Someone said to me once, was having a conversation with me. This was last year. He asked me, what do I do? I said, I'm a preschool teacher. And he asked me, what am I going to school for? I said, to be an elementary school teacher. And he said to me, why would you want to be a teacher when you could be a principal? And I was like, excuse me? And he just went on, why do you feel like you have to work for someone? Why do you feel like you have to work under people? Why, kind of the same thing. Why are you working or going under your potential? And I resented him for that. I was so mad, and I was like, how dare you say I can do better than I'm doing? How dare you say I have potential? You know, because I wasn't willing to accept the fact that I, you know, could do better, and that what I'm doing is not good enough. So God had to really show me that I am special. I am, you know, called for great things. I am extraordinary. I'm not ordinary. And I'm really beginning to receive it, and I'm really beginning to open my eyes and just broaden my horizons and set my goals way higher, set my standards way higher. People can't get away with like with me, they cannot get away with the things that they used to get away with. You know, I'm on it. And you know, it took what God has put me through to realize just my worth, to realize, you know, what I'm capable of, to realize how smart I am, to realize, you know, what a strong woman I am, to realize how much faith I have, to realize how much I love God. And when I realized just how wonderfully He made me, I can't settle for any less than what He has planned for me. So I encourage you, yes you, to activate your calling, activate your anointing, use your gifts, use your talents, obey God, and clear anything from your life that is blocking you. If there's something blocking your ears, you can't hear God, blocking your eyes, you can't see God, blocking your calling, get rid of it. Get rid of it. Grow. Just grow.